What is going on, everybody? I'm back again today. This time I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up a Minecraft 1.18 server. So, I'm going to get right into it. So the first thing you guys need to do is go and grab the server jar from minecraft.net. You can do this through the launcher too, but I like doing it this way. So, go to the website, type in download at the very top. Just go to minecraft.net. I'll put this link in the description, but you can just type /download at the end and hit enter. It'll bring you straight to the page. What you want to do is scroll down. You want to look for where it says Java Edition Server. So you want to click that. And what you want to do is download this Minecraft_server 1.18.jar right here. So, one thing I want to mention really quick before we get into this is a lot of people are having this issue where when they type in their batch file, they're not matching the file name to this. When you download it, it's going to be called server.jar. See how it says right here, it says, this type of file can harm your computer. Do you want to keep server.jar anyway? Now, the reason why it's saying this type of file can harm your computer is because Chrome is just warning you that it doesn't know what this server.jar file is, and it could contain some malicious code that could install something on your computer or do something you don't want it to. But we know that this file came from Minecraft, straight from Mojang or Microsoft, so we know it's safe. So we're going to click keep, and what I'm going to do is drag this server jar that we just downloaded straight onto my desktop. So now pay attention to the name of the file. See how the .jar just disappeared? Now that's because by default on Windows it's going to hide the extensions for known file types. I'm going to show you how to show those in a second. So we're going to create a folder. Let's right click new folder. I'm going to call this server 118 for now. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to drag this jar file that we just downloaded into my folder. So now I have my folder here, an empty folder. The only thing in it is the jar file that we just downloaded from minecraft.net. Now you can see it's not called server.jar anymore, it's just called server. Now I'm going to show you real quick how to set the file extensions. So up top where it says view, make sure you click that view tab and see this checkbox right here. By default on Windows 10 it's not going to have this checked. So you need to check this checkbox, and now you can see that the .jar shows up. And that's what you want. Don't worry if it doesn't say executable jar file or if you don't see the little Java icon here yet. I'm going to get to installing the correct version of Java in a second. So the next thing we're going to want to do is create our batch file. Now this is going to be the file that we're going to use to launch the server. So at first we're just going to write it out in a text file. So create a new text document, and we're just going to call this start.txt. And you can see that because this checkbox is checked, I can see the .txt extension. If this wasn't checked, let me uncheck it real quick and show you. It just says start. And watch what happens if I rename it, because I see people doing this. People rename it and try to add the txt themselves. If I can type it. And now it looks right. But now look what happened when I actually checked this box. It's start.txt.txt. Like, that's a problem. And people are doing that. So make sure that you have this box checked before you go and try to change any of the file names. So we're going to change it back to just a regular start.txt, because this is what you want. So then you want to edit this file. You can use any text editor that you want. I'm just going to double click it to open it up in Notepad. And I'm going to zoom in just a tad so we can see what I'm typing. Just a little longer. So once you get this open, we're going to actually write a command right now. So we're going to type in Java, and now this is where we get to specify the memory for our server. We're going to type xmx. This is going to be the maximum allocated memory, the most amount of memory that the server can use. Now, because I'm doing this in a testing environment and it doesn't really matter for me, I'm going to set this to 2 gigabytes or 2048 megabytes. You could also type 2G for 2 gigabytes, but I'm going to do 2048M for megabytes. It's the same thing, it doesn't matter. Now I'm also going to set my XMS, which is the initialization amount of memory, or people like to say the minimum, and I'm going to set this to 2048M as well. Now, one thing that is important is this XMS XMS number cannot be higher than the XMX number. They can be the same, but you can't make this number higher. That wouldn't make any sense. This is the max. That has to be the highest number. So the next part of the command is going to be the type of file that we're trying to open, and that's going to be a jar file. So we just do tac jar or -jar, and now we specify the file name. Now this is where people get tripped up. Make sure that what you type in here is identical to what the file is called in your folder. If it's not called server.jar, then you're going to be typing something different than I'm typing right now. But for most people out there, it should be called server.jar. Now that's really all you need to run the server, but we're going to add a couple extra things. We're going to add no GUI, and now this is an argument that's going to be passed to server.jar when it runs, telling it to not use or not launch with the native Minecraft GUI. It uses extra resources and it's redundant. We really don't need it because we can do everything we would need straight from the console. And then hit enter, and we're going to type the pause command. Now what this is going to do is, if there's an error when this command runs, instead of closing the window right away, it's going to keep it open so that you can read what the error is. Because another thing I've been seeing a lot of people do is they're going to have a problem, right, with this batch script, and when they launch it, it's going to open up the command prompt window and immediately close it, so they don't ever get to see what the error is. But if you have this pause at the end of the batch script, it'll wait before it closes the window for you to hit enter, and you can sit there and read what the error message is. It'll give you an idea of how to troubleshoot and how to fix your problem. It's also what I'm going to ask you if you come to me telling me that that is your issue. So after you have this all typed in, I'll also have this in the description so you guys can just go down there and look at it. We're going to go file save, and we don't need this open anymore, so we can close that out. And this is where we're going to turn this .txt file into the batch file. You have to make sure, like I said, your file extensions are shown. If they're not, it's not going to work. So make sure that this box is checked. In the View tab, this box needs to be checked. Now, right click that, rename it, and get rid of the .txt on there, and type BAT. Hit enter. This little window right here pops up that says, if you change a file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? We know what we're doing, so click yes. So it creates, changes the text file, and it creates a Windows batch file. That's what we want. So now we can actually try to run the server. And we're going to run into a couple errors here when I try to launch it, so you can just double click on that. Now this is a very, very common error that most people are going to have, and I explained how to fix this in the other video that I put up about 1.17, but I'm going to do it again here. So if you see this specific error pop up, now let me just explain what happened here. We ran the Java command, right? You can see what I typed in up here in the batch file, and then it gave me the error. Now this would have exited out and closed, but see how it ran our pause command down here? And now it says press any key to continue? It's going to wait. So now we can read what the problem was. You wouldn't be able to read this if that pause wasn't there. So the pause is kind of important. So now we can read that basically this is telling us that our Java is outdated. So our Java runtime only recognizes class file versions up to 52, but we need class file version 61. What that means is that our Java is not new enough. Now for Minecraft 1.18, we need Java 17. Now that's not going to be a normal update for Java. You're going to have to go out and get that manually. I'm going to have a link in the description for the website, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. But before we do that, I want to teach you how to check your Java version. So open up a command prompt by clicking start, type in CMD in the search, and it should pop up. Just open it up, and you'll get a command prompt window like this. I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so type in Java Tech version. That's going to spit out the version of Java that we have, and you can see that we're running on Java 8, 1.8. So another command too is to make sure you have the 64-bit version. You can type Java Tech D64 Tech version, and this will check your 64-bit version of Java. And you can also see that when we ran the original command, that it said 64-bit server VM at the bottom. If it didn't do that, you might have been checking if you might have a 32-bit version and a 64-bit version installed, and that Java tag version, this first command, will show you the 32-bit. If you have a 64 and you want to check if it's there, run this command. But you need a 64-bit Java version to use more memory on your server, so I'd recommend getting 64-bit Java 17, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. So, the way that you do that is you go out to this website right here. I'm going to have this link in the description as well. This is the Java SE Development Kit 17.0.01 download page. Now, if you click on this page right here and you scroll down, we're going to go to where it says Windows x64 installer. We're going to click on this right here. And what this is going to do is this is going to download the JDK that we need. That's going to be an exe file. And we're going to run this exe file, installing the version of Java that we need to run the server. So click yes. We no longer need to be on this web page, so I'm going to minimize that. We're just going to work our way through this install wizard. Just accept all the defaults. And we should be good. Now, let's open this back up and let's type in Java tech version. And look at that, Java 17. So, we are good. Now, when we try to run our server, it should work. So we don't need that command prompt open anymore. This is our server console. And what it's going to do right now is unpack a bunch of files, and then it's going to close. And if we read what it says failed to load properties, it's going to create it, and then it says failed to load eula.txt, it created it. So what that did was it created a default end user license agreement file. Now what we need to do is we need to go and find that. It's right here. You can see that when we ran this, it created a bunch of files in this folder where our server.jar and our start.bat was. So now in this folder right here, we have our eula.txt. We're going to want to open that up, and we can see in here that it says eula equals false. You want to change where it says false to true. Save this file, and now when we rerun our server, to get this to go away, by the way, you can just click enter or the X button, and when we rerun our server, it should work. So we're just going to let it load up, and hopefully it all works. And if this pops up right here, this is asking to let Java through your firewall. Make sure you click allow access on this. Otherwise, people won't be able to connect to it. And you can see it's preparing our spawn area. And when it finishes doing this, the server should be ready to join. Alright, and it finished. So now the server is done. It is up, it is running, and should be ready to join. So before we do that, I want to explain how do you shut this server down. Now that we have it launched up, how do you shut it down properly? Do not click this X button. I'm going to repeat that. Do not click this X button. If you click that X button, it's going to immediately shut down the server, and it's going to not save the last couple things that happened to the player data in the levels, or in the level data. So you're basically going to get rolled back, or there's a possibility that you can lose data there. You don't want to do that. The easiest way to stop the server is to just type in the stop command, and it's going to stop the server just like that. So type in stop, hit enter, and it should shut down and close the window. Alright, we're going to launch our server back up. And once the server's up and running, how do you join it, right? So I made a video on this a while ago, but there's 3 different ways to join a Minecraft server, right? You can join the server locally, like from the same exact computer that you're hosting it on, right? You can do it via a LAN network, which is like within the same household, like on the same Wi-Fi connection. Or you can do it over a WAN connection, a wide area network connection, which is, let's say that your friend, across town is hosting the server and you want to be able to join him, or vice versa. That's going to be a different type of way to connect. And every single one of those ways to connect is going to mean that you need to use a different IP address. Now, I'm going to explain that just a little bit here. If you want some more information on that, I have a pretty in-depth video that I will put a card to in the top right now. But because I have this machine hosted in a virtual environment, so it's in a virtual machine on my computer, it has its own IP address, like it's its own computer in my house. So I'm going to have to use the IP address of the VM to join my Minecraft server. Now, if I was joining the Minecraft server from within the VM, it would be like what most of you guys, I believe, are going to be doing, where you'd be joining locally. So you can just type in a 0 for the IP address, or your loopback, or you can even type in localhost. But I'll get all into all that in a second. But you can see that our server is up, it's running, and we're good. So what we need to do now is we need to check what the IP address is of this computer so that I can actually join it. So in order to do that, we're going to open up our command prompt again, and I'm going to type in ipconfig. And you can see the IPv4 address of this computer is 10.0.0.123. Now this is what I'm going to have to type in when I want to join from a different computer. If you are joining from the same computer you're hosting it on, you need to type a 0, or the loopback IP address, which is 127.0.0.1, but we're not going to get into that right now. So I'm going to hop over onto my Minecraft client, and I'm going to join the server and show you guys that it works. Okay, so we are in Minecraft. You can see we have 1.18 loaded up here. We're going to go to multiplayer. Make sure you click allow again. I guess I haven't loaded this up on this version yet. We're going to go to add a server here. Now, the server address, this is where people get tripped up, right? Because they don't know what to give out to their friends and they don't know what to join. Now, I want to make this very, very clear. If you are joining from the same computer you're hosting the server on, type a 0. That's it. It's all you have to do to join your own Minecraft server from the same computer. Now that's not going to work in my case because, like I said, I'm hosting it inside of a virtual machine. So I need the IP address that I looked up of the virtual machine. If you are hosting your Minecraft server on a different computer on the same network, like in your same house or on the same Wi-Fi, then you need to look up the IP address of the server, like I did on the virtual machine. Remember that IP address was 10.0.0.123. Now, that's the IP address that should work. So when I click done, it's going to ping that server, and look, we get a response. So now we should be able to join the server. We're going to let it connect, we're going to join, and look, we are now in our very own Minecraft 1.18 server. We can check that in the top left. See, Minecraft 1.18. Yeah. So the next question that people usually have for me is, how do I opt myself? How do I use game mode commands and set myself creative and all that? So I'm going to show you how to do that right now, because if I was to try and type in game mode creative right now, it's not going to let me do it. So what you need to do is you need to go to the server console, and you have to type in a command setting yourself as an operator. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to hop back over to the server console. Alright, so now that we're back on here, you can see that we're in the server console, and you can see that it says in here that I joined it to the game. We're going to type in OP, and then the username of the person that you want to make an operator. So that's going to be Voizdev for me. And you can see that it made Voizdev a server operator. And if we go back to the server, you'll see that I can now use the commands. Alright, we're back on the server, and if we look in the chat, it says made Voizdev a server operator, and if I try to rerun that same command, it should work, and now I'm in creative mode. Okay, so the next question most people always ask me is, now that I got my server set up, now that I've got myself as an operator, and I know how to join it, how do I get other people that aren't in my network onto this server? So it's possible. If you've gotten this far and you've gotten the server set up and you've been able to get into it, then you've done all the software right. What you need to do now is set up a little bit of networking rules. So what you need to do is you have to create a hole in your firewall. And what that's going to allow you to do is, it's going to allow your friends' connections to get to the server. Right now they're going to be blocked because the port, which by default for Minecraft is 25565, that port is going to be blocked. No traffic is going to be able to get through until you create a rule opening it. So in order to do that, you need administrative access to your router. If you don't have administrative access to your router, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to set up that rule. But if you do, you can do something called port forwarding. And if you forward all traffic that is inbound to that port to the IP address of the server, then your friends should be able to join no problem. So when giving people who aren't within your network the address to join the server, you're going to be giving them a different IP address than you would have looked up in the command prompt like we did earlier. That IP address in the command prompt is specific to the computer inside your network. What we need is the address of your entire network, and you're going to have to look that up on Google by Googling what is my IPv4 address. So once you've got your port forwarding rules set up, you can actually check them using this tool that I will link down to the description. And if you put the IP address of the server in and you check it on port 25565 and it says open, then people should be able to join your server and you should be good. Now, I'm going to link, I have a video on how to port forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link that in the description as well as a card in the top right. And I implore you to watch that video thoroughly. Understand what you're doing. You're opening a hole in your firewall on your network. And you should know what that means. And when you do it, you should feel confident that you know what you're doing. Now, it's not dangerous if you do it correctly. And in my video, I show you how to do it correctly. So, if you understand what you're doing, you don't need a perfect guide to show you exactly how to do it. You should be able to figure it out yourself. And there are multiple guides out there for how to port forward for every kind of router. So what I urge you to do is figure out what kind of router you have, and then go online and Google up how do I port forward with this type of router. And I'm sure you're going to find Reddit posts, threads in different places, articles and stuff on how to do exactly just that. And try to follow one of those as well as my guides and try to figure out how to do it yourself, because I can't create a guide on how to port forward for every single router interface. The idea is essentially the same for every device. It's just the way to do it on each device is slightly different. So you guys are going to have to figure that one out for yourself. But the people might have already figured it out for you. Like I said, if you can find a guide online for your router. I have one for how to do it on Xfinity on my channel. If you have an Xfinity router or piece of equipment, that guide should work for you. Now, that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. If you got the port to open, good, great, you can get people to join your server. If not, you gotta do a little bit more troubleshooting with the networking side of your server to get the ports open, and then people should be able to join, no problem. But if you've joined the server, you've set up the software right, and you're doing good. You just gotta make sure that the ports are open and that the server is running on 25565, and it should be, as long as you didn't change the port number in the server.properties file. So, with that, guys, yeah, that's how to create a Minecraft 1.18 server. It's pretty straightforward, pretty much identical to every other version that I've done. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video at any point, be sure to subscribe for future videos and leave a like. Also, I want to let you guys know about the Anarchy Server. If you don't know, I host an Anarchy Server called The Quarantine. It's been going since March of 2020. And, yeah, the IP address to get in is tqmc.org. And, yeah, it's not very active right now, but I'm hoping to change that, get some more people on there. But, yeah, we have a lot of fun. It's giant map, no rules. You can do whatever you want. And also, if you want some free quarantine coin, drop your address in the comment section down below. And with that, see you guys in the next video.